Last but certainly not least, we have a fantastic voice of industry, really. Tiger Tyagarajan, CEO at Genpact. I've known him, I think, for nearly 17, 18 years, something like that. I think you were leading US sales or something at the time. But I follow the fortunes of Jekis, then Genpact, for many, many years. And Tiger's always been a consistent voice and face, and became CEO a few years ago. And you're probably one of the longest serving CEOs in the industry now. But maybe you could just start with a quick background of where you started out and were you looking to end up in this type of role and leading a multi-billion-dollar organization?
Phil, thank you for inviting me to this platform and forum. And also, I wanted to appreciate the fact that you're actually contributing to the efforts that are going on in India to what is obviously a big humanitarian crisis and so on. So really appreciate that. So really happy to be in this forum. So I'll start by saying, when you say you've known me for 17 years, it reminds me that I'm getting old and that my hair is gray. And yeah, and then when you say I'm the longest serving CEO, that further reinforces that. So
I only just realized that when I thought of it. So
no, so look, I think it'll be fair to say, Phil, and you will appreciate this a lot, having known each other, that the industry we are in is a little bit a reflection of the world we are in at its edge. And what that means is the pace of change in the world has only accelerated. And we are a little bit of an edgy mirror to that pace of change. And as one of the riders in the train that continues to be on this constant change agenda, there is no other description but to say I'm so excited that I'm still around. So, and therefore, as I think about the future, I think the best way to describe the future is some more change is going to come. Whoever thought that as we sit here and talk today, 18 months back, if anyone had asked either you or me, can the world run a bunch of services remotely and virtually from home? And the answer would have been no. No. Can you close books from home for global 500 companies? No. Can you imagine companies that have 0.1% sales online to now have 10% of its sales online and expect that to continue to grow in the post-pandemic world? The answer would have been no, I don't think so. It'll take time. So a lot of things that we are seeing today, we wouldn't have expected the pace of change to have accelerated so much. And I do believe that as we look into the future, it's going to accelerate further. So, really, the answer to your question is, as long as one is on a ride where one is learning so much and seeing so much change and constantly finding ways to navigate that change, and more importantly, help our clients navigate that change and capture the opportunity, I think it's fair to say that there's no more exciting time to be here. In the middle of all the real sad pandemic events that rolled through the world over the last 18 months.
Yeah, and I know where Genpact's origins were from Delica Gown, right? And I know you've been putting a lot of time and effort and focus around the situation in India. And maybe you wanted to share a little bit about some of the initiatives that you've been doing, but do you think emerging from this, there'll be a different mentality in India? Do you think the government is going to do things differently? How do you see this evolving?
Yeah, so you remind me of the time that we set up the company in 1998 when we were part of the General Electric company. And at that time, our objective was to basically provide services to GE across the globe, across its multiple business units, initially from India. And then we set up Mexico, we set up Dalian in China, we set up Budapest in Hungary. And we were pretty much on a roller coaster ride from 98 to 2005, by which time we had become 14,000 people serving GE across the globe. Doing pretty much everything from finance to supply chain to procurement to underwriting, claims, reinsurance, services, actuarial, and then a whole bunch of analytics. And then if you fast forward that to today, again, it reminds me again of the pace of change. We now operate from 25 plus countries, 100 plus centers across 50 plus cities, with India being a material significant footprint, but as a proportion smaller than what it used to be. 70,000 people in India, 103,000 odd people across the globe. And therefore for us, India is important and continues to be important, but we have much more of a global delivery footprint. And really the last 18 months have demonstrated the strength and resilience of that overall global delivery footprint. And then the last 4 months, the resilience of India as a delivery group, not just for us, but for the industry. The two design principles we adopted early on last year was employee health, safety, along with continuity of service to our clients in a set of services that we came to the conclusion was incredibly critical in the world that we were in the pandemic. One of the discussions we had in the group was, if we stop our services, it's potentially possible that the retailer will not be able to order milk and cheese and chocolates and personal care products and all kinds of products from consumer goods companies. If those goods and products are not available, then the little time that was available for people to go and shop, that product will be available. And under lockdown conditions, there was a small window when one could go to a Walmart or a Kroger or anyone to shop. And then you might still shop and use your credit card. And then if someone at the other end of the phone was not looking after the fact that the transaction has to go through, then the transaction wouldn't have gone through. That's when you realize that actually a lot of our services are incredibly critical. So therefore, that resilience became very important. I think the government also realized in India how important that was. As an industry, we came together and represented to the government how important it was. And I think the support from everyone, including, for example, changing the telecom laws. And now that I'm in London, I can talk about the telecom laws in India go back to the time when the British established the Telecom Act in India. And some of that had to be changed permanently for work from home to be allowed.
Wow.
And now that's built a lot of resilience into our ability to go back and forth. Because if you think about the future of work, I think it's going to be I think people use the word hybrid. We use the word hybrid and flexible. And I think I love Nishala's articulation of diversity, because I think it changes the game on diversity and talent dramatically. But it also means you got to be flexible. And the last thing I'll say is it's been amazing to watch the use of technology starting from the end of the first week, second week of March 2020, all of which was available to all enterprises that we never used fully and that got tested to the hilt during that last 15, 16 months. And the reality is all the technology was available. We've now stress tested it. So why wouldn't we continue to use some of that in the way the world works in the future? So that's the exciting thing.
Yeah. So I had a little whisper that there was a project, I think, called Rise that you might be launching very soon. I wondered if that was something we could tease out of you today.
Today, Phil, today. So I'm really, really proud of my team in bringing together what I thought was really creative ideas to deal with the situation on the ground in India as the cases have come down. But in the meanwhile, there's been fatalities in various cities. There's been fatalities in various companies, etc. And while we are obviously supporting our teams in a significant material way, we realized actually that there is a bigger community problem that we can step into. And what got us there was our purpose, which is the relentless focus on a world that works better for people. And we said, one of the things I realized is that when a few people in the team passed away tragically, and these were breadwinners in the family. And as we spoke to the families through that grief, we realized that actually we could give employment to spouses who otherwise may not have worked and stepped back, but basically raised their hands and said, look, if there's an opportunity to work, we'd like to work. So we pulled them in. So we are on a track to actually start giving employment to our employees, families who were impacted by the tragic loss of a breadwinner. And then we said, why can't we take it out to the marketplace? And that's what we launched today, this morning in India. It's called the Rise and Thrive program. And the idea is working with some ecosystem partners who focus on, typically women. And again, I love the session that Nishala just completed. Women who have stepped back from work and have another breadwinner in the family, their spouse, who unfortunately are now dealing with the loss. Accessing those women and saying, if you want employment back into the workforce, which a number of them do, then there's a way to get there. And then depending on their capabilities and et cetera, we are accelerating hiring. And then we are putting together with our Genome platform training that allows people who are not yet there in terms of capabilities to go through a 6-month immersion on training for a specific set of jobs. So we think, this is a small contribution that we can make, but it brings together our capabilities. So it's not something new that we're inventing. This is core to our business. And we think, I'm really proud of the way the team came together to build this and then take it out into the marketplace to a set of people who are deeply impacted by this. So I thought this is a great forum to actually bring it out into the open. No one outside the company knows this. This is the first one. You're the first person who actually knows about this outside the company.
Yeah, I think your team fed me this morning.
Oh, okay.
But no, I was very intrigued to hear about it. And there's two things coming from this pandemic which could have very positive outcomes for India. The first was Debjani Ghosh on the panel yesterday, the president of NASCOM. She told us that emissions are down 85% in some Indian cities, 85%. And there was this realization of just how environmentally unfriendly the traffic culture had become. And then coupled with that, the fact that we can hire senior level people in India now, and they're very comfortable working from home. I couldn't do that even 2 years ago. And that's incredible. And coupled with what you're doing now with giving women who a chance to get back into the workforce, I think is actionable, proactive, genius in terms of because the big problem is in India and many other countries, women now they have children, they leave the workforce. This is a great way to get them back engaged and really start something new. And it starts here, but it takes a long time. So it's great to learn about the way India will emerge from this a little different and maybe a little better in certain respects for all the hardship it's been. So I really appreciate you sharing that. I also think that you look at countries who can deliver talent together to innovate. India's the leading place for that now. I mean, yeah. Even right up until the second wave, the offices were filling back up. People were still working together and innovating. And I really believe that, it's so established as the heartbeat of the industry that, I think the recent plight has raised awareness and concern and a lot of care and empathy to work with you guys through this. And everyone I work with, we work with Indian providers who do our tech and other stuff, is I get emails, I've got COVID. I'm going to be 2 days late for your product. I mean, you've got COVID? Anyway.
So actually, Phil, it's fascinating you bring that up. And I know the word resilience was used, I'm sure it was used quite a bit yesterday and today. Mm. I was with the CIO, COO of a large global top 5, top 10 bank this morning for breakfast. And one of the conversations we had was the future of work, no surprise, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the statements he made was amazing. He said that what the last 18 months and the last 4 months in India has demonstrated is this model is incredibly resilient. And the bank is actually now debating, given that it's been stress tested to an ultimate limit, Where can we take this model and why can't we double the model? And you scratch your head and say, wow, that's actually interesting, because intuitively, some people may have thought that people would start wondering concentration risk. And what I think the teams have done across the globe, working through this situation, is basically saying, look, if you really want resilience, then you must tap into a broader ecosystem. And one of the biggest ecosystems is where there's a lot of talent. And it must be sustainable for a very long time, not just for the next 2 or 3 years. The second thing he said is, look, the talent that we want in data, in analytics, in cloud, in machine learning, in AI, and I'm not thinking about 2 or 3 or 5 people. I'm thinking about 5,000 people incrementally over the next 3 to 4 years. He said, I can't go anywhere else. So he said, thank God the country and the industry responded so well, because now I have firepower to actually double the journey we've been on in all those aspects, because there is a war for talent that's actually ongoing, and it's only going to accelerate given the acceleration of digital and data and experience and all of that that we have seen through the pandemic.
Wonderful. So as we wind up a very successful couple of days here, it'd be just great for you to talk about, I think, one, maybe the biggest challenges we're going to face as an industry, as well as we've talked about the opportunities. What do you think the biggest challenges are going to be for us in the next 12 to 18 months?
I just think the word agility is the one that comes to mind, Phil. I think, again, if anything, the 18 months have demonstrated that agility is going to win. Flexibility is going to win. And that includes individual flexibility as well as company and team flexibility. Individual flexibility goes back to reskilling. It's an old word. It's a topic that we've talked about a lot. I just think reskilling is going to become even more important than ever before. So the more you can drive, I loved Jesus's description of culture. I was going to say the more you can drive a culture, and I was going to say, okay, let me define that. The more you can drive a behavior that says, I wake up in the morning and I'm going to make sure I learn something in 30 minutes around 3 dimensions, and we call that being trilingual. I need to understand my domain really well. It could be finance, it could be supply chain, it could be insurance, it could be consumer goods, it could be whatever. Second, I need to understand digital technologies that are relevant for me really well. I don't need to be the expert, but I must understand how to use RPA. Where is AI machine learning applicable? And 3, I must understand data. In the end, digital and all of these things are important because you can access data and build real insights to make the whole world predictable. And the man-machine combination will make the world predictable and be insightful and create delight. And all of that is about reskilling. So our journey on reskilling that fortunately we launched in a very aggressive way 3 years back, I think we just pressed the, what is it called? Pedal to the metal. Is that correct? Is that
pedal to the metal?
Pedal to the metal. And
pedal to the metal.
We have, yeah, we have 35,000 people out of the 100,000 people enrolled on learning data science. It's just unimaginable. While they're doing regular work, and they'll get certified through a process. That's our Genome platform. But I just think reskilling is the one that I would call out as, we better all get our act together, including our clients. Our clients are also thinking a lot about reskilling because they need to.
Yeah, no, I actually think the collective effort the Indian major heritage providers went to provide vaccines to their own employees and their families, it's been a real example of where commerce can get far more involved socially with their staff, and I think really becoming great training grounds and universities for people is critical, because ultimately you need to get as close to your clients as possible. So you need to be an organization that your clients aspire to partner with. I want to partner with Genpact or IBM, Accenture, because we love the way these people think and operate and act. Yeah. They don't just do what we tell them to do. They actually give us ideas and things. So I
like the first thing that you called out more than the other 2 names, but yeah.
But ultimately, I've learned from the last 2 days is the role of the successful partner is the one who becomes the chief orchestrator for their clients.
Yeah.
The other ones are going to help them work with Google and Microsoft, help them understand these applications, understand this data. Otherwise, if you cede that to somebody else, you're out of the game. So it's very important to excel yourself to excel with them. So anyway, this has been tremendous. I'm really glad you could come in and add some great words at the end and a fantastic announcement as well. So really appreciate it. And now you're in London, I'll have to look you up in a couple of weeks. So
that'll be wonderful. The weather is brilliant. The cafes are open, so it's a perfect time to be here.
Good. We'll leave it at that one.
And as Jesus said, always smile. I love it.
I know, I've been trying to do that. Great fun. Good. Great seeing you again. Thank you very much, Tiger.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.